If you're someone who gets easily offended, this episode is for you. This week, we're going to talk about what it means to be offended, why we get offended, and how to stop being easily offended. Welcome to How to Be a Dangerous Woman, a place where we dive deep into breaking down into what makes amazing women, just like you, think, feel, and perform at levels beyond what you thought was possible. This is a place where women learn what it truly feels like to have it all without guilt, without imposter syndrome, and without overwhelm getting in the way. I'm Dr. Crystal Connor, and together we're going to explore the health, mindsets, and strategies that distinguish the world's top performing women. And you're going to walk away with the exact tools that you need to build and create a life on your own terms. Hi there, my friends. This week I want to talk about being offended and what to do if you're someone who is easily offended. I think that in this day and age, we have so many opportunities to be offended. There is social media. There are news stories, politics, music, movies, anything in the media. At any moment, you can choose to be offended. And yes, I did say choose to be offended because it is absolutely a choice. So let's start off with the definition of offended. According to good old Webster's, offended means feeling or expressing hurt, indignation, or irritation because of a perceived wrong or insult. But there is an even better definition that I like more from two professors of social psychology at a university in Italy. I'll link it in the show notes. So if you're interested in reading it, you can go right to it and see for yourself. But their definition of being offended was to be triggered by a blow to a person's honor because it contradicts a person's self concept and identity. Now, you already know what I feel about self concept, and we talk about it all of the time on this podcast because it is so important to how you show up in the world. When someone challenges what you believe to be true about who you are, oftentimes it's an opportunity to be offended. One of the things that used to really irritate, annoy, and offend me was when people would say to me, "Smile. Why do you look so mad?" It would annoy me because I might have been having the absolute best day, feeling happy or peaceful. Now, my face might not have shown that. I have been known to suffer from RBF more than a little bit, but I would get offended and annoyed because I didn't see myself as an angry or mad person. I took offense because it was a contradiction of my self concept. Can you relate to that? So, here's what actually happens when we get offended. First, you hear words or you observe some action. Then, and catch this, it isn't the words or the action that cause the offense. It is the thoughts that you have about the words or the action that cause you to be offended. Your interpretation of what has happened will either cause you to accept the actions or words or be offended by it, or even to just dismiss it altogether. Now, here are a few reasons that people get easily offended. The first one is when their viewpoints have been challenged. Our brains perceive challenged viewpoints as a threat, and in response, we feel offended. We get offended when other people don't behave or respond in a way that we would, or in a way that we think that they should respond or behave. And we often get offended by any perceived criticism. And this is why having a strong self concept is so important. A strong self concept, knowing who you are, is going to allow you to grow from words and actions that are intended to help you grow. You're going to be able to reflect on the words or actions taken, filter it through your self concept, and determine whether or not there's a need to take any action. Having a strong self concept will allow you to either dismiss the words and actions or use them to stretch and grow to evolve into an even better version of yourself. A weaker self concept will internalize the words, they will internalize the actions without considering their validity, become defensive, and then immediately take offense. Being a dangerous woman means you hear it all. It's all information, the good, the bad, the ugly, and you filter it through your very solid self concept and decide what to do with it. So let's get into what you can do to overcome being easily offended. As with everything we do, you are required to give yourself grace, mercy, compassion, and most of all, patience. There isn't room for your inner mean girl here. It's counterproductive. So here's what I want you to do. First, come to peace with this. Please come to peace with this. Everyone, and I mean everyone, has their own world view. Everyone sees the world differently based on their own life experiences, based on how they were raised and by whom, based on their memories, their values, and beliefs. Very few people have the exact same worldview as you do. Even your family members, even your best friend may not agree with some of your thoughts about life. Accepting this is important because it's going to allow you to process different viewpoints without immediately being offended. It doesn't mean you're going to agree or change your own viewpoints. You will just understand that they, just like you, are entitled to that viewpoint no matter how jacked up you think it is. Second, I want you to continue to grow deeper in your self-study. Understand exactly what triggers you. When you notice yourself getting offended, ask yourself, why? Is it because a value you hold was challenged? Did you assume or misread something that was said or done? Did you have the full context? Get curious about how you respond. Now, I'm not suggesting that you gaslight yourself here. I want you to really look at what creates feelings of offense in you so that you are in control of how you respond, not so that you can avoid and pretend that you're never offended. This is particularly helpful in the relationships that we care most about. It is so important that we examine ourselves, ask ourselves if there is another interpretation available for the words or actions that offended us. This also is going to help you set boundaries and communicate with other people, the other person in the relationship in a healthy way, things that will strengthen your relationship, right? We don't want to bog our relationships down with a cloud of years of offense. And that leads to number 3. Examine the intent of the other person. Sometimes we can be so quick to jump down someone's throat when they say or do certain things. This happens when you are unaware of your personal triggers. But it's so important that you look at the intent of the person. I can remember a time where I was being coached by my life coach, Sheila, and I was so excited to tell her I had come up with a name of a program, and I thought it was so clever. And I was so excited, and I just knew she was going to be thrilled and excited for me. And I will never forget, y'all. I will never forget when she said, after I told her the name of the program, she basically said, it's okay. I don't really like it, but it's okay. Now, she said some words after that, and I think there was further explanation, but I was glitching because I was stuck at I don't like it. My thoughts were, how dare she? I was so offended. And we laugh about that to this day because she always talks about how she wishes she could have seen my face at that moment. And I wish she could have too, because I was totally offended. It took me a minute to remember who I was talking to. I know she has my best interest at heart. I know she loves, supports, encourages me in all things, but she also calls me out on my pride, selfishness, self-doubt, and fear. So in that moment, I gathered myself and remembered who I was talking to. I knew her intent wasn't malicious or just to be mean, and I was able to hear her out. And when she finished talking, I agreed with her. I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. That makes a lot of sense. There was no hesitation. It made complete sense. And I was able to hear that because I got myself out of offense. On the opposite side of that, some of you may have family and loved ones who love and care for you, who will also say things from time to time that aren't in your best interest. That is not necessarily meant for your growth. They may be saying things that are not necessarily helpful for your growth. In those cases, you have to be able to stand in your strong, dangerous woman self concept and dismiss not the person, but the messaging. So it's important to know the difference. Consider the source before taking offense. All right, my friends, that's all for this week. I hope that you're continuing to do this work for yourself and that you're experiencing growth and breakthroughs in every area of your life. And let me know what you want to hear more of, what you feel like you're really struggling with, because chances are you're not alone in that. We've got 5 months left in 2022. Let's make sure that we make these last few months really, really impactful. You can always reach out to me on Instagram at Dr. Crystal Connor or by reaching out to me through my website. I would really love to hear how you're doing in all of this and what you need more help with. I hope you have an amazing week. God bless you, and I'll see you next Monday. If you found today's episode helpful, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and subscribe to this channel so you never miss an episode. And I'd really love to hear how you're doing. You can find me at Dr. Crystal Connor on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I can't wait to hear what progress you've made. So until next week, see ya.